Talks. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another episode of Escopia Radio Talks. I am your host, Mr. Foxtail, and today I'm sitting down with a prominent music producer. He goes by the name of Profound. Before we start, bro, just introduce yourself. Who are you? What is it that you do? Where you from?
Hey, what's good, everyone? I go by the name Profound, a.k.a. the superstar producer, hailing from Carltonville, the West Rand, a small mining town is west of Joburg. Merafong D2, that's what I represent. And for some people, I make beats, but for me, I make stories. I take ideas and I turn them into realities. That's what I believe my job is. But to be formal, I'm a producer. By profession, I'm also a DJ and I'm a brand.
Damn it. DJ. Believe that you're building stories, bro. That's a lot of work, man. But surely there has to be a timeline, right? When did you discover your love for music entirely?
To be honest with you, bro, I feel like I've always loved music. I think I just fell in love with producing when I was like 12, 13. What happened was at home, my mom, she got promoted at work, so part of her new position required her to be able to type documents out. So from that, my dad went and bought her a second-hand desktop. And it just so happened, by chance, bruh, that second-hand computer had FL Studio on it.
What?
The person that either sold it or the people at the pawn shop, they didn't clear that computer. So it still had some old, I remember it had the rugby, I think it was the rugby or whatever year it was, and it had FL Studio and it had a few other games. It also had Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, but it wasn't playing properly. But I used to mess with that computer because it was the first computer Kohai. So I started messing with it, and at some point I opened FL Studio, and for the first time I could see what I'm hearing.
You guys are 13, right?
Yeah, I was 12, 13. I'm mad young at the time. This is before I even take this whole thing serious. This is just me discovering this thing. And then, I'm just constantly scoping it out. Initially, back in the day when you launched FL Studio, the demo version, it would load a project that's already a demo just to show you how to use the software. And so I started changing certain stuff in those templates and whatever, and eventually got to a point where I figured out that I didn't know what I was doing and I didn't know what it was called, but over time I then discovered that, this is called producing. The process that I'm doing is I'm composing music right now. So I think from there I started falling in love with what I do, but I've always been a musical lover. We grew up in a very musical household. Not musical as in my dad is a singer. No one has any creative talents. Go high. But music was always playing at home. My dad has always been an avid CD and a cassette collector. So we had a rack, go high, where we had so many CDs. You had to arrange them alphabetically, bro. And then the one side is CDs, and then here it's all the cassettes, and they also alphabetically. And then there was another cupboard, and it's all the DVDs. My dad would buy Michael Jackson's what greatest hits, So music has always been a part of me, and I'm very thankful that I'm able to take all of that influence and create and contribute.
By you saying that, you remind me of when we had at a back home we had I don't know if you remember those bags where Ukenya the CD and stuff.
Yeah, the sleeve with the zips.
Yeah.
And then you open it and it's pages, and you put we had 10 of those. I actually, the car I'm driving right now, it still has one of them in the car, and it has, I kid you not, when I go home sometimes I take some of those CDs and because I sample a lot, or I go through. I actually don't sample in records. I sample lyrics. So when I go to writing camps and with songwriting, I usually borrow references from older songs.
Okay.
Yeah, dog. I'm still into my laptop. I have two laptops, a new one and an old one. I keep the old one because the laptops of today, they don't allow you to run CDs in. And to me, that's important because there's some albums you can't find digitally. Sure. Yeah, I mean, so that is still bro, that's what I mean when I say we were collecting music, bro. My dad could have been a DJ, bro, for anything. My favorite thing about home was that my dad never bought music according to what he liked. He just tried everything. So you could find, like, my dad put me onto DJ Cleo because he bought Escaleni when it came out, and from there I discovered Cleo and I became a fan, and we actually have, I think, Escaleni 1 to 5. Like, we actually have the first 5 for real. Like, we were both DJ Cleo heads, even though he listens to like gospel and sometimes he was like, dog, he collected everything. I remember Danny K and Mendoza had a joint project together as well. I can't remember what it's called, like black and brown or something like that, but
it's a trick, I think.
But you remember it, right? Danny K and Mendoza. Like, those type of, that's like 90% of what I was around.
But he chose not to be a DJ. Funny enough, you became a DJ. So, when would you say that, like, because I mean, based on the timeline, you were like 13, you discovered your love for music because at home y'all were collecting cassettes, CDs. I don't even think a lot of people remember what cassettes look like.
People know nothing about putting a pencil in and like. People don't know that there was side A and side B.
Ish, the struggle was real.
Niggas don't know nothing about nothing.
The struggle was real, man. But how would you say it has? How would you say that transition or change to how we work now? Because now DJ doesn't need to walk around with CDs. You just go with the USB at a club, and it's like, Baba. How has that impacted the way you operate?
I mean, it hasn't really like done anything, because at the time, I guess I started DJing, that was already where technology was heading. A CD playing I've played, like when I started DJing, I played with CDs and stuff, but at the time they were already making CDJs that had USBs, and Virtual DJ and Serato and them, they started going digital, and then controllers started coming out. So it didn't, I'm right in I'm a 90s baby, but a late 90s baby. So I'm in the transitional phase of the new era of everything. So I wasn't really impacted by the analog stuff, but because I grew up around it, I'm still attracted to it. You know, I still believe that, like, the only thing, like, for example, with putting music out, streaming is great because the music is accessible and whatever. But the one thing I miss is the value in buying a CD, because back then, back then you could go to the storefront on the day of release and you could find the artist there, and you could meet the artist, buy the album, take a picture with the artist, and they sign your album, bro. But they sign, you walk away with a signed album, you know what I'm saying?
And I'm pretty sure it's worth of value.
Now, you know, you can imagine the person that has Justin Bieber's first album, the signed one, how much it's valued today. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing that digitization, I guess, has kind of like ruined for us. It's very hard for us to create iconic moments because we're all using. And the thing about digitization is it streamlines everything, so it's very difficult for you to do things your own way. Whereas back then in the day, if you couldn't afford a distributor that would be able to fund you to print all the CDs and get them in the stores, you could do that by yourself and sell straight out the trunk. Whereas now you can't sell music out the trunk. Everyone has to do a particular platform, and so we all have to follow the process of build a fan base on where, like, you know what I mean? And it just kind of makes, you can't have Nipsey Hussle moments anymore where he was selling an album for, I think it was like $100. You know what I mean? Like, you can't really. Now it's like, what the hell? You know what I mean?
CD, what am I gonna do with this?
Dog.
People don't even know how to use a CD player in their car right now.
Right now,
it's just Bluetooth.
It's just like Bluetooth. Even auxes are dying out, bro.
What?
Even the aux game is dying out. You know what I mean? Like, everything is just becoming wireless. And I guess it's good because it makes things very accessible and very quick to handle. But at the same time, it's like sometimes, like, just the basics make a very big difference.
So would you say that people that are still buying albums on iTunes, they're outdated?
You know, for me personally, it's like you could believe in whatever you feel like, you know, works for you. But for me, like, streaming is great, but either or, really. But I still appreciate the value behind, like, physical. I miss it. You know, the only physical thing we can do as creatives in music now is merch. Okay. And, you know, it's kind of like, it's so tacky, bro, because everyone is kind of like, you know what I mean? And I've never really liked being in a creative space where there's only one way to do things.
I understand. Now, speaking about creating, though, Nah, sorry for cutting you off there, man. But speaking about creating, what's your creative process like? I mean, I listened to Abangan Bam, nah, and I've just been hooked on that song because it's a summer jam, bro. It's a summer jam. What's your creative process like, bro?
For me, my golden rule is I have to tap into how I feel. So I don't really try to follow trends, or I don't really just work according to what needs to be done. I kind of just try to stick with my gut, and I go with what I feel needs to happen at that point in time. But usually I have, like, I know I'm in my creative melody element when I can hear melodies in my head. That's literally the start of any creative process. It could be like sometimes I'll wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, bro. Yeah. Like just on some, this melody sounds crazy in my head. Dog, literally, we did a record last night. We did a record of a beat I did like 3 days ago, and like I woke up to make that beat, but the beat was trash. So I took the melody of that beat and I made a new record, and now that record is dope. You know what I mean? But everything for me is melody. It's easy to like throw a hard 808, and you know, everyone can create drums, but I feel like a lot of people can't create. Like even if you listen to my single Abang and Bam, like the melody is one of one, bro. The chords, Master A Flat did the chords, shout out. You know what I mean? But that's really what I go for, melody. That's my starting point for creativity, and it has to have a particular feeling. So I like what you said when you said it's a happy song. That was the aim. Like when me and Ricky said, we were trying to figure out how to go about when we were creating the record. So he was saying that like we need something that's happy. That was the goal, you know what I mean? So for me, my creativity starts with the feeling, and the best way I translate the feeling is in the middle.
Damn, now working with Ricky and MT, bro, I mean, must have been a major thing. How was it? Like, how has it been in the same space as, I consider them as icons because they made, or they had, like, they made a difference to the music industry, one way or another. As much as maybe others may have a different perspective on the two artists, they made a difference. They made it possible for other artists to say, you know what, if he can do it, I can surely I can push myself. And they opened doors for up-and-coming artists. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, look at Ricky, he did Cotton Fest. MT is he started his own record label. You know, that's motivational, but how has it been in the same creative space with them? Trying to create one
thing, right? I mean, like, I want to say it was great, but it like, to be completely honest, it was kind of like stressful because there's pressure when you're the new kid and you're around people who kind of have it done and figured out, right? But at the same time, it was a great experience because, like, I never really had like major placements, and I never really chased major placements. So it's crazy to me that my first major placement is a record that I own.
Damn,
you know what I mean?
That's
like
major.
That is the craziest, and that's what I mean when I say I don't like doing things like everyone else. I want my story to be my story. So just from me knowing that, yo, I'm about to work with 2 culture shift artists in the music industry in SA hip hop, and this is my record, and this is my first record, like just that alone made the experience it outweighed all the pressure that it came with. And it was very dynamic because it was 2 separate sessions, right? I started the session with Ricky, and that at first, like day 1 was kind of weird because I had just figured out what my plan was in my head. And when I had pitched what the plan was in my head, Ricky didn't really catch me. So, like, in the session with Ricky, I kind of had to opt for plan B because I made Abangani Bam with Ricky in the room. Like, I started the song. I didn't come with I had beats. That's what I'm saying. I had what I wanted to go for, but then he felt like that's not really where he's at. So I had to start and that's bigger pressure than coming with a pack of beats, bro. If someone says, like, imagine being in the studio with someone that you were watching when you were in high school rock, and then they're like, okay, here's a piece of paper, here's a pencil. I want you to... You know what I mean?
That is crazy.
That was the Ricky session. But like I've been
That's crazy.
producing since I'm a kid, so that doesn't intimidate me. I've always been able to come through. And then with MT, it was a quicker process, obviously, because we didn't have to start anything. But the wild thing about it is like he knocked his verse out so quickly. Like I actually booked more time than the time we used in the studio that we recorded in. And the one thing I can say is both of them are very making music for them right now. I understand why they tap into other things, because at this point, like, the one thing I saw from sessioning with both of them is like making music is so easy for them. It's easy for me too, I guess, because I have experience and whatever. But I'm not a songwriter. I'm not a performing artist. I can songwrite, but I'm not a performing artist, right? So I enjoy watching the writers go through their creative process, and their creative process is so quick, bro. Like, it is so quick, and like the first idea always works. And I feel like I've worked with many artists in my career, bro. There's not a lot of artists who are able to knock anything out. You know what I mean? There's like some artists that you kind of have to nurse them into your sound, because this is my sound. Like, I didn't bootleg nobody, bro. That's Abanganmam to me doesn't sound like anything.
Fact. I mean,
you can't tell me that I
what. I mean, we don't want to see a Daily Sun now.
You know what I'm saying?
Profound stole my song.
I mean,
Now it's this mostly in court, but baba, pen nigga.
these labels are ridiculous, dog. They'll take 90% of the record, bro. It's bad.
That is crazy, but surely after that, opportunities started availing themselves. What are those opportunities, bro?
I mean, for me, like the biggest thing is it allowed me to expand my brand the way I wanted to. I don't really like count all the other accolades, because I feel like all the other accolades or all the other, you know, doors that open, or the other people that kind of exposed me to those relationships working and becoming something required me to be able to do what I do. You know what I mean? So, like, regardless of whether I won Remy Producers or I lost, or I met Ricky or I never met Ricky, whoever I've bumped into and whoever I've collaborated with, I've been able to do it because I can. Like, I am able to function in this world, and I'm able to do what I need to do. So I don't really look at the musical side and say he plugged me with this guy, but it allowed me to brand myself the way I've always wanted to brand myself, because I've always been a traditional producer, so I never really was in the limelight, bro. I was always the guy behind the artist, and I was even like ghost producing at some point. Like, I was giving records to other producers, and they say they produced it, but they bought it from me when I was starting out. You know what I mean? So I've always wanted to be able to create what I create and to exist with my own circle of people, my own fan base, get my own numbers, sell my own, you know what I mean? Without having to become a rapper, or like, you know, without not having to sacrifice what I'm essentially doing, which is producing. You know, so the one thing I can say the collaboration did is it allowed me to do that. It gave me the brand I was looking for to be able to do what I need to do without having to leave what I'm doing and do something else because there's a higher chance it will work out. You know what I mean?
True.
Yeah.
9-to-5s are not always that. They're not always that efficient for a lot of people. Like the artists that have 9-to-5s, right, and they're still pushing at night. But it's a tricky one, man. It's a tricky one. But I believe that throughout every opportunity, as you said, it allowed you to pave the vision to and carve it to what you wanted to be. What difficulties came with that, though?
The biggest difficulty is because what I'm trying to do, like, and I'll tell, this is just not even about the plans. This is the full blueprint of what I'm trying to establish for the industry. Like, is very difficult. I'm facing so much. Like, people see all the moves I announce. Like, I'm always like, yo, I'm the what for, you know, I'm always, and people just see that, but they don't see how many no's I go through, bro. Like, it's March right now. I've been going through 3 months of no. Because I'm trying to do it like no other producer's done it. Like, the industry they acknowledge producers, but they don't really put producers in the same boats as artists. And now here I am saying, put me in the boat. Put me in the boat where Casper is. Put me in that boat. But I'm gonna make beats being in the same boat as, like, you know what I mean? That's what the full vision is. And so every day is a difficulty, bro. I can't execute the ideas I want to execute because the ideas I want to execute are all in the context of producers. So when you go and look for the money to execute this idea, it's foreign to them. This is the first time someone is saying like, no, instead of you guys getting the artist to do it, get the producer to do it, but he'll do it with the artist, blah, 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 blah. So right now, I'm trying to kick a door down, but I know that even if I don't kick it down fully, if I do kick it down fully, great. If I don't kick it down, I know someone will, because I've realized I've been blessed to be a producer behind the artist, behind the scenes, and I've seen the economic dynamics, I've seen the business behind it, and I don't like the business behind it. And so I'm trying to establish where I think the industry is in the rest of the world, where the producers weigh as much as the artists, where Metro Boomin can do a tour and he can sell merch and he can drop an album and he can do a joint album with 21 Savage and they can do a joint tour. They can, like, you know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to establish here. I don't see a lot of that here. I see a couple producers who are producing for a major artist and he'll drop a song with the guy he's producing for, but where's the album? Where's the music video?
It's not even that. Where's the producer? I mean, we take time to look at Ali Keys, who's produced most of Casper's work, right? But he's always behind the scenes, bro. Like, it's not that thing where it's like he's limited with what he can do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But you know, like, at the same time, I've learned, because I have conversations with a lot of producers, and I do realize and I do acknowledge that not every producer wants to be at the front, bro. Some producers really want to be at the people. Ali might be comfortable where he is. He might not want, like, you know, sometimes when you're around an artist, you get to see how difficult it is to be one. And so, like, this thing is not for everyone, you know. So what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to break the door down for the producers that want to function the way I'm trying to function. I know there's producers who they sick and tired of sending beats out, sending 20, 30 beats out in a week and not getting a record back. And then if they get the record back, they get ripped off. Like, you know what I mean? I see it every day. Or a producer that has a hit record, but at the festival where the hit record is going to close the show, he can't get in because he doesn't have any brand value or he doesn't even have the connections. You know what I mean? So I'm fighting for those guys. I'm trying to break those down. I want it to be possible for the kid that's in his bedroom to go to the nigga in his hood and say, yo, let's do a collab tape. Let's do a collab tape. And he also sees the fruits from it. And he can also choose to be an individual that exists within his own right. He can go and do whatever he wants. If he wants to go do TV, he can go do TV. If he wants to go and do whatever, without having to either. Because what's happening with a lot of producers is they becoming rappers or they quitting, bro. Because it's rough for us, dog. We at the bottom, and the worst part about us is when we at the bottom, when we get the bad end of the stick, we can't even voice out our opinions because we don't have the voice in most cases. So there's a lot of people who have fallen off and they've been crying, but no one even listens to them because no one, you know what I mean? Those are the people I'm fighting for. What I'm trying to build is going to allow producers to exist by themselves without depending on a hit record, without depending on the biggest placement with. You know what I mean? I don't want the nigga to have to only be able to change his life because he got a song with AKA. All love to AKA, but I don't want that to be the only way out. I want the nigga to be able to be in his own bubble, in his own space, do his own thing with the artists he wants to work with the sound he wants to do, and he exists, bro.
So you want to be the United Masters of producers, and they say?
Yeah, I'd say United Masters, but it's not even that deep, because if we look at America, it's like there's so many producers who are independent, bro. They don't need Murder Beats, Metro Boomin, Pierre. Okay, Pierre's a rapper, so that's kind of like Southside. Okay, but he raps too. You see, that's like, I don't want it to just be rap. I don't want rap to be the only resort for the average South African producer. There's gotta be more to it. There's gotta be more to it.
I keep paving it, man. But speaking about vision, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, bro?
Biggest producer in the country.
That.
Probably one of the biggest in Africa, and probably one that's starting to establish connections in the world.
That.
Those are the three things from the 5-year plan.
That is he says next question. But man, what career path now would you have established if it were not for career in music? Where would you be today?
Yo, actually, I think I would be in some lab, like doing research, for instance, or I'd probably be like in science or something. Because I was actually a science student, bro. I was studying BSc in genetics and physiology.
What happened? What happened? Tell us.
I got a fat chick and I decided, listen.
I'm out. Wow.
And I did.
But that doesn't mean don't give up.
No, listen, let me tell you something, man. School is important. Like, I advocate for academics, as much as like I dropped out, I'm always learning.
Yeah, but academics, I feel like academics comes into depends on how you want to see it. There's people who are book smart and there's people who are smart in the real world.
But here's the
life smart.
Here's why I advocate for academics. In the world of media and entertainment, you need to be book smart, bro. Because if you're not book smart, you're gonna get finessed. The people that are getting finessed don't even know what the standard is because they never opened a textbook. They never tried to open a textbook.
Like, 10.
Yeah, there's, He doesn't even know what the standard rates are. So when he gets a record deal, he doesn't know what he's negotiating for. He doesn't even know why he's getting signed because he never learned what the process. He doesn't even know what the point of a record label is, why it's established there, what it's there for. People are just trying to blow up, not knowing how, because they're not learning how. They're not trying to. It's so frustrating to see potential that's walking in the dark. Like people like Casper's a high school dropout, bro. But that man is smart, bro. You know what I mean? You don't become a multimillionaire by luck. You gotta know what's going on. That nigga discovered the gap in the market. Shows. He saw that like solo acts in South Africa are not doing their own shows that are at the level of festivals. That was the gap he saw. He saw the opportunity, he ran with it, and now he's the guy. He's the show guy, bro. He's the festival. He's like, bro, you know what I mean? It takes learning. You're not just gonna wake up and say there's a gap in the market. You know what I mean? You gotta
say the name of the thing, but like, I'm gonna be sit down.
You just muted there.
But yeah, man. But that's crazy. I mean, identifying a gap, I feel like it must be the hardest thing ever. But it surely shall be done, man. It surely shall be done.
I don't think it's hard. I think it's just scary because it's a path no one's walked in. You need balls, bro. I won't even lie. You need balls to pave a way. You're first to fail. You're the first to fail. You know what I mean? You could be the guy that fails and then the guy after you succeeds. And that's great for the culture. But for you lost, bro. You know what I mean? That's the risk you take when you try to do something different. You gotta be willing to take that.
With the brand profile, what can we expect in the next coming months from you?
I don't want to disclose a lot, but I will say there's a lot of exciting stuff happening. I wanna send a quick shout out to Ray-Bans. They know what they did for me. It's all love. But yeah, a lot of things are moving the way I wanted it to move. There is something that I'm trying to put together with another very respected producer in the country, like probably the most successful SA hip-hop producer in the country. I'll let you guys guess who it is. But me and this guy were trying to do something for SA hip-hop. And that will probably be that'll be the start of a whole new way to approach this producing thing, bro. Once I crack this thing, South Africa is going to catch up.
Damn. Now, to those that don't know, they don't know your category or your catalog. Sorry, catalog. Ish. Your catalog, man. Where can we find your catalog? And where can we find you?
It's pretty simple. At Twitter at PRXFND, Instagram at PRXFND, Facebook at PRXFND, or just Google Profound Abangani Bam. You'll find all the links. I usually post as I'm producing the records that are coming out. There was a link in my bio that had like it redirected to this page that shows you all the songs I've produced, but I kind of took it off because I needed to put the link of the single. But usually like I put it back for people that want to see the history of where I come from. But for now, Stream Abangani Bam, it's out now. Definitely aiming to shoot the video this year. Luckily COVID is allowing us to get back together and huddle up. But I won't lie. It's very difficult right now to be new and to be independent because money is obviously slowed down, and it's been hard to already like break the doors down where money is. So there's a lot of catching up to do, but at the same time we're operating, Chief.
Thank you so much for joining us in Escopia Talks. That was profound, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys are listening. Till next time, peace.
Danko.
Alright, thank you.
You're profound, man. Pick up the phone. Pick up the phone.
Profound, you need to calm down.
Westside Nabangan Bam. 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 Westside Nabangan.
Just gonna push record on this end, and then put that boiler and then the headphones got it.
Okay, I wanna smoke.
So what's the deal with this studio setup?
Huh?
What's the deal with this podcast?
Oh no, man, it's just matters of we have to be banking with Open Mutual, so I had no choice but to open a bank account with them, bro.
Damn.
Yeah, but I was like, you know what? Let me just use that opportunity because the facilities are available.
They're proper, yeah.
Yeah, they're
This is a dope space. I've been saying I'm gonna come here. It's just that I haven't found the reason to. But I like their studios. Also like that, like you can actually, well, according to what I was told when I came here, when they were still building this thing, like you can even tell them what type of setup you want for the studios.
Yeah, you can by email.
That is crazy.
Yeah,
For like a creative hub.
creative hub depends on the setup. Do you want the peace?
Danko.
Alright, thank you so much, bro.
Appreciate it, dog. Hope
you
you
so
didn't
much.
burn all your time.
Ah, man, you didn't, bro. That's
When
just
do you need
matters-
to?
Hmm?
When is your time here done?
Round 3, and I'm waiting for the second guest.
Alright, bro.
Thank you so much, bro. Don't forget your mask.
I just said it's level 1.
You don't wanna go to jail for not wearing the mask.